There was so much excitement and hype for the rookie season of Anthony Richardson, and that did not last very long. But first, thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring today's video. NFL fans, are you ready for more action on the field this week? We've partnered up with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official partner of the NFL, and they've got you covered. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's that simple. Download the DraftKings app now and use our code JDProd. That's right, new customers bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets back instantly. DraftKings customers can also get in on the action with same game parlays, where you can combine multiple bets from the same game for an even bigger payout. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry, you can still get in on the action with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports. Again, download the DraftKings app now. New customers use our promo code JDProd. Bet $5 on any wager and get $200 back in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code JDProd only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Thank you to DraftKings, and let's get right back to the video. We only got to see him in 4 games, and now his season is over. He's having season-ending shoulder surgery on his throwing shoulder. He suffered an AC joint sprain on October 8th against the Titans. Now, the Colts decided to go around and try to figure out what he should do. So it wasn't an immediate, oh, he's going to get surgery. They waited, they checked with a lot of specialists, and ultimately, he is going to have surgery. Now, I absolutely do think that is the right decision. There's no point in rushing this guy out. The Colts aren't that good of a team, and you'd rather play this out for the future. And that's actually what Shane Steichen said. He said that this decision was always going to be based on the future. Now, it sucks that he's not going to be able to be out on the field and try to develop in that way, but Richardson is still going to be in meetings. He's still going to be at practice, and he's still going to get time to learn, really try to see the NFL. It's just going to be hard for him to not be on the field and really experience that NFL speed. But now he gets to sit back and watch Gardner Minshew, who is at this point a seasoned veteran. Now, if you remember, the Colts took Richardson 4th overall at the draft. He was considered extremely raw and was a pretty risky pick coming out of Florida. His junior season was his only year starting for the Gators, and he had 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, but he also rushed for 9 touchdowns. The big thing with Richardson was that he could be this crazy dual threat. He has a big stature, and he has an insanely strong arm, and if he was able to put it all together in the league, he could legitimately be the most talented quarterback. Now, there were some concerns, especially when it comes to injury with a player like that, and a lot of comparisons to Cam Newton. Now, I can see some of those comparisons. I do think that a lot of that did just have to do because they both went to Florida, but I can understand where they were going for. Injuries obviously ruined Cam Newton, and the worry was that that was what was going to happen with Anthony Richardson, and we're already there wondering if this is going to be a career-long thing. Anthony Richardson ended up being named the Colts Week 1 starter. As a rookie, he was actually one of 3 rookies to do so. Bryce Young, who went 1st overall, and CJ Stroud, who went 2nd, both started as well. A lot of eyes were on Richardson there for his NFL debut against the Jaguars, and there was some good and there was some bad. He went 24 of 37 for 223 yards and a touchdown, and also threw a pick. He also carried the ball 10 times for 40 yards and a touchdown. So we really did already get a nice preview of what he could be in the league if he could put together that hybrid passing and rushing ability. And it looked amazing. The potential for this guy is insane. And then in week 2 against CJ Stroud and the Texans, he started off really hot. I remember watching Red Zone, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, Anthony Richardson already has 2 rushing touchdowns. He had only carried the ball 3 times for 35 yards, already scored twice early. He also had thrown it 10 times, completed 6 for 56 yards, and then unfortunately, he suffered a concussion in the 2nd quarter. He did not play in week 3. Instead, Gardner Minshew started, and the Colts actually managed to beat the Ravens 22-19 in overtime. But then Richardson returned. He cleared protocol, came back, and the Colts ended up barely losing to the Rams 29-23 in overtime. Now, I definitely definitely hang my hat on that. I think the Rams are actually a pretty good team. I could see them being a wild card level team. So for them to take him to overtime is pretty impressive. But Richardson had a rough day throwing the ball. He only completed 11 of 25 passes, but at the same time, he didn't throw a pick and he did have 2 touchdowns. He also rushed 10 times for 56 yards and another touchdown. So other than the completion percentage, he played solid. I remember keeping tabs on that game specifically, and that was just fun to watch. Like, Anthony Richardson is just a fun player to watch. I don't know that he's going to work out or not, but he's exciting. And then unfortunately, the next week, he suffered a shoulder injury against the Titans before he went down. Richardson was actually 9 of 12 for 98 yards and had rushed twice for 5 yards. And that is the end of his season. Just like that, cut way too short. In all, he played in 4 games. Richardson completed 59.5% of his throws for 577 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he rushed 25 times for 136 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, this is Gardner Minshew's team. Sam Ehlinger is the backup. We even saw him start a little bit last year after Matt Ryan was benched, but I don't think Ehlinger's going to get any snaps here unless Minshew, of course, gets hurt. Now, it was really ugly last week with Gardner Minshew. The Colts ended up losing 37-20 to the Jaguars, and this was a game that could have been really cool. This could have been the Gardner Minshew revenge game. If you remember, he was actually taken by the Jaguars, was actually pretty good there in Jacksonville for a minute, and then ultimately, of course, they were so bad that they got the first overall pick and they took Trevor Lawrence. Any reasonable team would have made that decision. That was the right decision, but still, it left Minshew kind of just out there. He ended up going to Philadelphia. Now he's in Indianapolis, but he could have had his Hollywood moment, his crazy revenge moment, and instead they lost and he turned the ball over 4 times. He threw 3 picks. He fumbled once. It was ugly, and hopefully for the Colts, that's not a sign of what's to come for the rest of this year. Now, I will say the Colts really don't have that tough of a schedule, just looking at it, and for what it's worth, I do just think that's the nature of the AFC South. It's a very weak division. I think even the good teams in the AFC South aren't too good. I think the Jaguars are a good team, not a great team, and obviously you have the Titans and Texans, who I think are just like maybe mid. Unfortunately, I think that means the Colts are probably not going to be bad enough to get a super high pick. I think they're going to luck into some wins in the AFC South, especially now that Gardner Minshew is playing. So the priority for the rest of the season for the Colts, more than anything, just needs to be, looking at Richardson, hoping he can continue to learn, even though he isn't going to be on the field. He just gets to sit back and watch Gardner Minshew do the NFL quarterback thing. Now, I actually do feel pretty good about the future of the Colts, which I'm surprised to say. They just need Anthony Richardson to develop. I didn't love him coming out of college. I actually probably watched more film on him than anybody else, and he was a guy where you'd have this flash of, oh my goodness, if he puts it together in the NFL, he's going to be the most exciting dude we've ever seen. And then you'd just be like, oh no, he's not going to be any good. He's very much a boomer bust prospect, and he's somebody that I thought needed to sit to start his NFL career. The Colts said he was good enough, and honestly, he played much better through that early part of the season than I did expect him to. I thought it was going to be rough to start, and then eventually he'd maybe slowly put it together. But honestly, I was impressed. Obviously, he had his rookie pains. He had his issues. It wasn't perfect. It was ugly at points. That's how being a rookie is, but it was better than I expected. And I think a lot of the credit for that does go to Shane Steichen. I really like Shane Steichen. I think he was fantastic with the Eagles, and now that he's in Indianapolis, I think he's the perfect fit for Anthony Richardson. He had Jalen Hurts. He was a huge piece behind Jalen Hurts becoming what he is now, and Shane Steichen, I think, can do the same thing with a Richardson. The main thing is the Colts just need to build the roster around him correctly, because right now, I don't love the offense. I do like Michael Pittman, but I don't like him as a wide receiver 1. I think he's a very, very weak wide receiver 1. We're going to have to wait and see more from Josh Downs out of UNC. I liked him a lot in college, but we're going to have to see how he progresses in the pros. And then Alec Pierce, I think he just is what he is at this point. Now, I really just don't understand why the hell the Colts paid Jonathan Taylor. He was holding out, he went on the PUP list, and he reportedly Steichen just didn't even want to play for the Colts. Now, of course, in the NFL, that probably just means, oh, I want a long-term deal. Oh, I want more money, whatever. Zach Moss ends up playing. He has a few pretty good games, and then the Colts decide that they need to cave to JT for whatever reason. I don't understand how you got from point A to point B. Jonathan Taylor's not playing. Zach Moss plays well. Okay, we need to finally bend to his demands. That doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, I just sit here worrying about what Jim Irsay and the Colts are doing. They make baffling decisions sometimes, and honestly, for a long time, I've thought that if it wasn't for Peyton Manning, this franchise would just be viewed as a complete joke. Now, I like Steichen. I'm still skeptical of Richardson, but I really just can't wait to see what he becomes. I think the Steichen-Richardson pairing is going to be very, very special. And honestly, more than anything, I just can't wait to see how it all plays out. But unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till 2024.